so we're working through our school readiness pack. So the first thing we're going to be doing is working on developmental writing strokes. So what we've done is we've put the age equivalent for the different strokes that you can work through. I'm going to show you how you can do it on regular piece of paper, but you can also print this out as it is meant to be used as a worksheet. So the first one we have is a straight line. So if you've printed this out, you can get your child to copy on the straight line, and then you can get them to copy below. So they might trace it and then copy below, or might do it on a separate piece of paper. So we're just working on straight lines. So we're going to go down, then we're going to do the next one, and then we're going to work on circle. If your child needs help, we try not to provide hand-over-hand assistance. If they are struggling to get these strokes, then I'm going to show you soon the other activities you can do, which includes a multi-sensory approach, like using Play-Doh or putty to make the different shapes and structures. So we're going to go down. The next one is a cross. Then we have a square. Square is quite tricky, so that's considered a 4-year-old milestone mark. And then we have our diagonal line, which is 4.5. Next we have our X. Then we have our triangle. What's important is that you don't work through every single milestone. You want to just stop at wherever it is that your child needs support. It's totally fine if you're stopping at the first 2 milestones. They may need to work on their pencil grasp, their pencil control and strength to be able to get those milestones before moving on. So it's important that we stop wherever your child needs that extra support, and we don't try to push them into rote learning how to do later strokes, because it's important that they stop where they need to and work through those foundations, because that's what's going to help them with really beautifully legible writing. Then we have our pre-writing circles. So this is when we're working on tracing. So if your child needs extra support with creating circles, this is the perfect worksheet for them. They can just be tracing the circles. You may need to provide some assistance, or if you don't want to trace the circles with a pencil, you can do that with putty or with Play-Doh. What we say is that if your child is holding their pencil and it's not a mature grasp, say they're doing like a fisted grasp, a few strategies you can use is you can snap the crayons to make them little, which will essentially force a pincer grasp, and that's going to help strengthen these fingers so that they are able to eventually develop that grasp that they can then use for holding a pencil and writing. I'm going to move down. Then we have the same with tracing our squares and tracing our triangles. We then have maze activities. This is when we're working on your child's visual processing and problem solving skills. Your child may need some support, particularly if they do have difficulties with visual attention. So if you do need to work on your child's visual attention, you may actually show them how to complete the maze first and then see if they can follow you. If you want to use this activity purely for a pencil control activity, you can actually write the line yourself, and then you can just ask your child to trace your line, trying to stay within the borders. This works really well as a pencil control activity, but it also can be used for visual processing, visual perception, and problem solving skills in writing. We then have some extra mazes for you to work through, which do get more complex as the program goes on. After we have completed this, we then have our Play-Doh mats. Can we stop there? Yep. Okay, now we're going to use our Play-Doh mats to work on developmental writing strokes. This is particularly important to do if your child is having difficulties with writing their developmental strokes, or they might need a multi-sensory approach to writing for memorization, or just because it is more fun and engaging. So what you can do is you can print this off, laminate it, and then you can create the Play-Doh structures on top. So I'm going to show you how you can do it without printing and laminating. If you want to just do it on the table, you might zoom in to one. If you do have a screen guard on top of your iPad, you actually can do it directly on the iPad itself. So you could actually get them to put it on the iPad itself, but if not, you can have them do it right next to you. So we might say, we're going to make the same, let's make the same, and we get them to make the same structure with the Play-Doh. So like, great, so that's our first developmental writing stroke. Then we're going to work on circles, so we might get them to take that off, and we're going to get them to roll the Play-Doh like a snake. Roll, 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 and we're going to get them to make a circle. Now, if your child is able to imitate next to it, then they should be pretty ready to start practicing writing. If they are not able to imitate next to it, they will have to do it on top to be able to understand how to make that structure. So it may be beneficial to print and laminate this so you can reuse it as many times as you like. The next one is we have our diagonal line. There we go. Diagonal line. And then the next one is we have our X. So we might cut this one in half, leave the diagonal line, and then put the other diagonal line on top. Then moving on, we also have our straight horizontal line. We also have our cross. Then we might use the same Play-Doh and start making our triangle. So you may imitate this for your child and get them to copy you, or you might ask them to give it a go on their own, and then you can observe what they're doing and give them support throughout it. And the next one is going to be making a square. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. Now we're going to put them together to make a square with sharp corners. Square with sharp corners. Great. So now I'm going to put this in. Working on this, you can do that using a pencil, a texter, or you could use the Play-Doh for this as well. What's helpful with this is the arrows help teach directionality. What we ask is for the child to start at the circle and the little dot there, and they're going to work their way through. So we might say to them that we're starting here and the arrow is pointing this way. So they're going to work their way through. And it's the same for all of the different shapes. Starting at the dot, working our way through. We try not to use too many directionality terms, for example, right, left, up and down, because if a child is having difficulties with motor planning skills, then they're not going to be able to understand that directionality, and it can create more confusion. So we're better off saying that we're drawing a straight line. We're doing a straight line, another straight line, and we might even count 1, 2, 3, 4. And with our circle, we may call it a curvy line, or if your child is doing handwriting with our TEARS programs, you may talk about the magic letter C. So we have our magic letter C and our other magic letter C, and when it comes together, it makes a circle. Moving down, we have more shapes that you can experiment with as your child's skills get more advanced. We then have all of our letters that you can practice with. And what's important is we've put our letters with numbers to help guide your child. So for example, with D, we start at number 1 and we work our way down the line. Then we go pick our pencil back up to number 2 and we do a curvy line. We start at number 1 and do a curvy line. Then we start at number 2 and a straight line. So this is ensuring that your child is getting the right letter formation, and we have done that for every letter of the alphabet. So I'm going to work my way all the way down. Ooh, bring it back up. Work my way all the way down. Great. Then the next part is scissors, girls. We'll stop there.